Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night News with Go Indie Now for June 2021. We've got a jam-packed show. It was kind of funny. All week long, we were talking about how the news was so, thin and bare, and then all of a sudden, things just blew up in the last 3 days. So it's like, okay, awesome. Great for us. Great timing.
Absolutely.
But, I'm Joe Compton.
And I'm Katie SALIDAS.
And yes, we've got a great show for you. So we're just going to jump right into all the action here and get going here. So our top story tonight is actually breaking news. If you haven't seen it, it's something that's happening. It just happened a couple days ago, actually yesterday, last night-ish, and dropped pretty much all around this morning. And that is the purchase by Overdrive of Canopy. And what Overdrive is, for those who don't know, it's the way you get your books into libraries. That's one of the wonderful methods of doing so. Ebooks and now audiobooks as well. It is the system that helps libraries all across the country, and I even believe it stretches into Canada, if I'm not mistaken. But they do ebooks and audiobooks, and now they have the wonderful Canopy under their umbrella, which, as you can see here, 30,000 plus movies that Canopy houses that they've secured the rights to, that you can stream free at any library with a library card. It's an incredible service, and it really actually caters to a lot of indies. 3/4 of their films are short films or documentaries or indie narratives. So that's a lot. That's a lot of indie films getting seen across the world, with it being able to be in libraries now. And now with Overdrive, the two are connected. It acquired Canopy. There's no terms that they've listed in terms of what it cost or how it had happened. But the talk among those in the know, I've kind of done a little digging here, and the talk is that the possibility is that they're going to connect the dots. And this is going to be a rampant theme tonight, Miss SALIDAS. I think there's going to be a lot of connecting of dots here this evening. And if you're trying to build your brand, you're really going to enjoy this show, because there's a lot of opportunity out there now, and it's growing and growing. And this is an incredible opportunity, because the idea is they're going to connect the film world with the readership world. And what they want to do is kind of partner what we do every week on our show on This Week in Indies, a kind of an indie connection, if you will, where they're going to take a book or an audiobook, and either if it's been made into a film, they're going to obviously connect it to. But if it's something of the same subject matter, same genre, they're going to genre specifically collect a grouping, kind of like a playlist, and have suggestions in libraries that will have, hey, if you like this movie, you'll love these books. And if you love these books, you'll love these movies, and kind of connect the dots that way and connect it together. That is what I'm hearing a lot, is what the goal is here ultimately, and that is, to obviously get both parties to be seen and cross pollinate. For the library system, this just grows their opportunity even more, because now they can promote, a movie night with a book reading, and kind of that idea. And again, they could invite indie filmmakers in to talk about their movie. They could have local authors come in and talk about their books. And this really opens the door for a lot of indies, I think. I think this is an incredible merger that's happening, and with news that we're going to talk about a little bit later on, with a big player jumping into the library system, which we kind of talked about last month, and we have an update on that. We have, incredible.
That's been a story for a while now. We've been watching that one, kind of fingers crossed, for a while. The barrier to entry for indies right now is getting so much softer. I think we live in a really good time right now. We're able to access and be a part of mainstream media a lot easier than previous generations have ever had.
Yeah, and to have more avenues in which we're being seen in a manner in which doesn't cost the consumer anything, but we still get credit for that scene. That's the thing about Overdrive that is so amazing, and now Canopy as well. Canopy is also that, but to cross-pollinate the two, you could possibly see a potential where there's a lot of like cross-promotion and a lot of opportunity for you.
Oh, yeah.
Be even more seen than you were just being with Overdrive or being with Canopy if you're a filmmaker. Imagine your short film. You have imagine it's this month is Pride Month, right? So you have if your short film's about LGBTQ plus issues, and you have a book with that, and you pair the two together. Imagine how much more they're going to get seen and talked about, because they're going to be featured in national campaigns and libraries, not just local ones. And then, of course, the local flair comes involved as well. So it's a really, really good opportunty. And our chat is already jumping in. Canopy. What's up, chat? Let's go Indie Now News. Woohoo! All right, welcome everybody. I'm glad to see we've got a nice group already. Yay, Overdrive. And yes, it's in Canada. So yes, I'm right on that. But
of course,
so's Canopy. So
we have to touch on the fact, though, that just like how there was the battle between EPUB and Moby, there is the battle for who is going to be the prime dealer to libraries. Mm-hmm. So while Overdrive does service a lot of libraries, it doesn't service all of them. And if we want to touch on the Amazon issue, Amazon's deal is with a different company. So it doesn't mean all libraries are on that same system. So there's still going to be a little bit of struggle to get stuff out there, but we do have a lot more entry points.
And with Canopy giving the visual element, that's just going to, like I said, just going to spread the opportunity to talk about it more and give Overdrive a heads up. It's the perfect segue into our next story, which Katie's going to cover for us. And before she gets into it, I'm just going to say something, and I'm going to make myself big here for just a second.
Uh-oh.
I just want to say something that probably you won't hear me say often on this show, because I don't want her to get a big head, but Miss Katie SALIDAS called this. She pointed at the shot, she pointed at the home run, and she called it. She said, Don't be so quick to jump on the Vela bandwagon, because there's going to be competition, and she called it, and I have to give her all the props. This story was made for her, and I'm so glad she's taking it on. So why don't you talk a little bit about what's happening and what we're talking about, Kate?
Yeah, so we started off, I think it was last month, we talked about how Kindle is rolling out the Vellum system. And what is Vellum? It's serialized fiction. Or sorry, Vella, not Vellum. Vellum is a formatting program for those of you with Apple. Anyways, so they weren't reinventing the wheel. They were basically taking what other people had built and putting the Kindle brand name on it. Now, it's not without its issues. You can't take stuff that you've already published and throw it into the Vela system. They want it to be kind of, separate and different and they have their own credit system, but they weren't original. Radish had been out there for a long time. Now, also Wattpad, another one that's been out there for a long time. Those two companies in the last month have been bought out by two competing South Korean firms. So Wattpad was just bought out by, am I going to say it right, Naver? You think that's the right way to say it? Naver? Okay.
Yes.
They were just bought out by Naver. Now, Naver is the one who brought us Webtoons, which a lot of you guys know Webtoons, follow Webtoons. It's highly popular, but they aren't the only one in the game. So we also have Kakao Entertainment, which is Naver's arch rival, and they own Radish and Tapas, which again, Webtoons and serialized fiction. So these two companies are basically putting all of the spotlight into South Korea as kind of the big players when it comes to serialized fiction. But they're going up against Kindle. And we know Amazon owns about 80% of the book market world. So who's going to come out on top between these three massive competition points? It'll be interesting to follow. My guess is Kindle Vella is probably going to fade away. And you can mark my words on this, and we'll go back later and we'll see if it actually came true. But I think because Webtoons are super popular, I think Naver's got the leg up with Webtoons. Radish and Tapas haven't been as popular in the field. Yes, they've been around for a long time. We're talking about, I believe it was 2012 and 2016 when those two came out. So again, this is not reinventing the wheel at all. These have been around for a while. But Webtoons does have a niche. And Webtoons also works, again, just like Joe was saying, in the visual realm, turning things into movies, cartoons, that kind of stuff. So I think we're going to see Naver pull ahead in this. And I think Kindle's going to kind of go, we tried, it didn't work, just like with Kindle Worlds. We'll see what happens. But there are three major players right now all vying for control of the serialized fiction market.
And Naver and Wattpad's connection now, it's what, 166 million reach. The reach now is
it's huge, yeah. And Wattpad is going to still continue working as Wattpad always has. It's just under the umbrella of Naver. Yep. So they will remain where they are. Their CEO will remain where he is. They will still continue operations as they have, but they now have access to more, being owned by a larger parent company that's in the other areas.
And the interesting thing that when we were talking about this and looking at this story, the interesting thing that I discovered was the demographics in which each of these kind of cater to, right? So Amazon is more of the older demographic. They skew older, where the millennials and the Gen Z folks are 80% of what Wattpad has to offer is being used by those folks. They prefer that forum over anything else. And the reason why they do, and this is the thing that Amazon has not yet caught on to, they have the Kindle forums, but they don't have the interaction that Wattpad has. Wattpad has like comments, you can review things, you can share things. Kindle Vella is only allowing you to kind of like it and share just links. You're not allowed to like embed it or anything. So that's part of the rule.
Here's the problem. Amazon is trying to steal ideas that are already out there instead of being innovative. And you're right. They are the granddaddy. They've been around for the longest, and they have set systems in place that they haven't capitalized on their investment. They haven't treated their authors very fairly. They've constantly, pulled back the reins. They've made it harder and harder for us to get things out, reach other people. The algorithms aren't friendly towards us. So instead of helping out the people who are making them the money, they keep tightening the noose, and they keep taking ideas from other companies that are working, that are money centric, and going, we could do that too. Hold on, guys, we can do that. Whereas those other platforms, Wattpad started as more of a message board, fan fiction kind of platform. It started with interaction. It started with getting people together and building a community, and then added their payment tiers. Amazon's trying to go the opposite way.
And the other thing that Wattpad has, and Amazon has this too because they have Amazon Studios and stuff, but Wattpad has the ability to turn your story into a movie, into a TV show. They have the Wattpad studio, and then they also have they have a system very similar to Vela where they have tokens and things like that, and but where Amazon kind of greased the wheels here, and to be fair in this conversation, Amazon's offering 50% royalty of what we do not know what that
That's the kicker.
50% is, but that number is screaming at authors right now. Authors are looking at any way they can to get into this thing because 50% sounds pretty fucking rich, you know.
But
so
we broke down last month how the token system, especially with the tiered levels, changes what you get depending on how the customer purchases those tokens.
And also the thing that I just read, which is very interesting, is that first episode is free. So, you know, that's the kind of gateway drug.
They want up to 3 initial free. So the author's not getting paid for those.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Vanessa makes a good point here. Interaction with readers is something I don't think Amazon will ever embrace. They don't want authors to connect to their readers directly. Yeah.
No, and they in fact, they punish authors for connecting with readers. Any author who has a social media platform who interacts with their readers is at risk of having reviews pulled because they know the author. No, we don't know the readers. We're interacting like we're supposed to, and now we're going to be penalized because you're taking our reviews away. Sorry, Amazon is not helping the author out here.
Yeah, I just caution, because that 50% thing also, there's, you know, I expressed this last time we talked about this too. We introduced Vela to everybody. My caution is that there's bugs. There's going to be things where people are looking for get rich quick schemes, and they're gonna jump on this like, you know, white on rice.
We talked about that. Yeah, it's gonna end up giving indie publishing the Scarlet Letter again. We just got into the area where we're starting to be respected as a platform. And when we have people who are churning out fiction as fast as they possibly can, it's going to be with errors. It's going to be without proofreading. It's going to be without the steps that are necessary in order to make a book that can compete in the traditional marketplace.
Yeah.
And that, again, points to indies as being, you know, not as good, when we've come a long way. We have worked very hard to erase that image and to provide books that are of good quality that people want to read at good prices.
Yep. So much so that we've scared the big four. I mean, we've put a lot of effort into the ebook marketplace, and that has changed the big four forever. I mean, we did that. The indies did that, not the big four. Big four wanted it to go away, just like Kindle Worlds, and I'm sure they're talking about how they can get rid of Vela too. I mean, you know, so
and why the separation of church and state here? Why is it that we can't have something in the serialized platform as well as in the traditional space? If somebody reads a couple episodes and goes, "Wow, I really like this. Let me buy the whole book." Why can they not? Why are you cutting your nose off there? They can make money on both sides, but they're telling us, nope, can't do that. Sorry. So now we have to choose. Do we want it in the serialized platform, or do we want it on the traditional? And we're going to alienate our customer base by choosing one or the other.
Amazon is very draconian because they can't be seeing the majority of the market is frustrating. Yeah, absolutely. But what I was going to mention here is, what you're seeing too is Wattpad is moving forward with developing these books and these stories into movies and TV shows. And if Amazon is following that model, they're going to have to use their studio to catch up, because what Naver does, what Canopy does, so Overdrive and Canopy can get into this conversation too. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Wattpad and Naver and Overdrive start talking to one another. But what they can do, Webtoons and Canopy, is provide a visual element that Amazon could do if they wanted to, but they're not going to spend the money to do that. That's a lot of money. But because Wattpad already had that enriched in their system, and now they've added Naver's webtoon and animation aspect of it, I mean, they could visualize these stories and turn these serialized stories into something even bigger and better and bolder to the marketplace that is asking for it, the younger generation that's skewing toward the visual elements. I mean, short films have never been more popular than they are right now. I'm telling you that right now. I can tell you that for certain. that short films are very, very popular, and they're very popular amongst the millennial crowd because they look at this as, hey, I can do that too on my iPhone. Look what I can do, and it's an amazing renaissance that's going on right now, and so the visual element's going to come into play here, and I think that's where the Navers and the Overdrives may end up winning out. I never put anything past Bezos and his cronies, but and the Zon, but if they can do it and do it better, and that 50% turns out to be something that is just unimaginable and really cool, hey, I'm all for authors going out there and filmmakers going out there and making as much as they can in the grind that they have to go through and doing that and maybe turning a profit one of these days in their lifetime. But you also have to keep an eye out on these alternatives, because if you don't get in the ground floor, the problem with the Wattpad thing is it's now 20 years old. So it's like, if you don't get in, if you're not in there now, you're going to get shoved to the side with the people who are already creating and making the money, and that's where so you have to kind of weigh your options at this point. And that's why Bell is so attractive, I think, because it's just starting.
Yeah, so. But it's not new. That's where I get kind of I don't like it when Amazon tries to copy another platform's idea in order to bring it to the wider market.
Because it never works for them. It has never worked for them in the past. It'll not work for them.
It ends up hurting the other companies is what it does. And so I want to see, these companies that are bringing good things to the marketplace, I want to see them do better. Webtoons, I absolutely love Webtoons. I've followed Webtoons for years. There's a lot of different creators that I have watched, and they've gone on to do bigger and better things. I want to see this continue, and I kind of want to see Amazon go, yeah, that's your thing. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to stick with what I'm good at over here, because I don't want to see them disrupt that.
Yeah, and again, here to play the devil's advocate on that end, this has been my problem with Mark Coker and Smashwords for as long as I've been involved in publishing, and this is the thing that annoys me about Wattpad a little bit too, is because they're playing that second fiddle, and they're playing it like they're a second fiddle, and they're not adjusting. They're not
innovating at all. Yeah.
They're not creating. And Amazon looked at this and goes, hey, look at what Wattpad offers. They offer nothing for their stories. I mean, they've done a horrible job of recouping payment to the group that has helped them be who they are. And Amazon was like, if we juice it up and make it 50%, we could get all those people to come migrate to us. And that's their thought process. They're looking at this as purely a number thing. They're not looking at it as innovation or opportunity.
And as we have seen before with the quote unquote 40% for audiobooks that actually turned out to be much less than that. I don't believe any of the numbers that Amazon gives me unless I can see the actual accounting.
Yeah.
Don't give me any percentage. I want to see the actual accounting so that I can verify your numbers, because we've seen what they've done to us with audiobooks, and we're screwed when it comes to audiobooks because of it.
Yeah. And that's going to be a fight that's going to go on for years. So it's like, I mean, I totally see that happening if Vela stays around. We'll see. They're just rolling it out, and as Vanessa says, as an author, my thinking is if I see Vela catches on with Amazon customers, if it doesn't, I can always pull the Vela story and publish it as a book. Vanessa saying there's an echo when you talk, Katie.
Oh no, the echo's back.
Sorry, I can't hear it, so I'm sorry, everybody. I would have caught it if I could have, but I didn't hear it. I don't hear it.
I've got literally nothing else running right now, so it's got to be just shitty internet on my side.
Well, we'll get through it. So,
sorry.
But that being said, for our author friends out there is one thing that we all universally have some issues with. Maybe not all of us, but a lot of us struggle with this. And it's about time that somebody brought light to it. That's why we have the awesome CL Cannon to join us to do that. and she has got a whopper of a marketing tip this month. And here right now is your marketing tip for June, and we'll be back. We've got more to go, people. We've still got a lot to go. So, but enjoy this, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Theo Kinnan here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you your monthly marketing tip. And today I'm going to be talking about the bane of every author's existence, blurbs. Along with an on-genre and professional cover, your blurb is one of the most important selling tools in your marketing arsenal. It can take a reader from curious to intrigued or even to bored. This is an important aspect of your product that can make or break a sale. So what makes a good blurb? Well, I've put together a few do's and don'ts that I think can help you craft a better blurb. Let's start with the do's. Do begin with a hook. Similar to writing a hook for the first page of your novel, a blurb hook should intrigue your reader and implore them to read on. For this reason, a question or a mysterious statement is a great candidate for the first line of your blurb. Do make your first line stand out by using HTML markup to grab your reader's attention. You can use bold text that usually works really wonderfully to catch the eye as they're scrolling through their Amazon, looking for their next read. Do introduce and identify your main characters and the major conflict that they are dealing with. Let the audience know what's at stake for these characters and the reason that we should want them to succeed, as well as the obstacles that they have to overcome. Do use keywords inside of your blurb in a natural way, evenly dispersed to catch the search filters without feeling as if you're kind of stuffing and throwing things in there for no reason at all. Do research your genre and identify common themes between best-selling book blurbs. Sometimes your competition can be your best teacher. Successful authors have honed these skills to attract their target audience. Take notes on what works for these authors and what works in your genre and use it to your advantage. Do remember to list any awards and credentials that you may have achieved. So if you're a New York Times or USA Today bestseller, if you've won a Roan Award or any other major award, you might want to list it there. But don't toot your own horn too overzealously or compare yourself to heavy-hitting authors like Stephen King, or say that you're the next Stephen King or you're the next big thing, because sometimes when we have too much confidence, it can drive people away. Now for the don'ts. Don't try to pack every element of your story into your blurb. It is not an outline. It is a marketing tool. If you want someone to buy your book, you need to intrigue them and you need to leave them with questions that they must know the answers to. You have to create an immediacy to seek out these answers by purchasing your book. Don't make it too long. The sweet spot of blurb writing, according to Amazon, is 150 to 250 words. The human attention span is getting smaller and smaller, and as time goes on, you want to make sure that you just grab attention, gain their interest, and then make the sale. Some genres, like epic fantasy, they lend themselves to a few more words because epic fantasy is just, in my opinion, long, but I still wouldn't go over 300 words even for epic fantasy, or hard sci-fi, or any of those that sometimes need more explanation. Still try to say under 300 words. Don't make the mistake of scattering your information. A good blurb should work together as one cohesive piece and not a garble of information just kind of thrown on there. Every piece is kind of like a puzzle, and you want each piece to complement and complete the next. Don't use past tense. Penning your blurb in present tense creates a sense of action and immediacy, and it makes it more exciting for the readers. In past tense, kind of, it's already been done. The outcome has already been decided, so it kind of feels like there is less compelling reasons to read it, which, even if you write your book in past tense, present tense blurbs just sell better. Don't forget to create breaks in the blurb so that's not just one huge wall of text. Short, digestible blocks are easier for the eye to focus on and obtain information from. Don't use cliches. If you can hear the movie guy kind of speaking in your words in your head, then your blurb is probably too hokey. In a world where such and such does stuff and Caught in a web of deceit, my MC must prevail, are more likely to cause eye rolls than sales. The bottom line is that crafting a blurb that is true to your book and that sells takes time, practice, and even some trial and error. Fortunately, there are several blurb critique groups out there that can help you work out all the kinks. You can also do A/B testing with ads, or even ask your newsletter subscribers or your fan group members. All I can really say is good luck. Blurbing is very hard, and it takes, like I said, time and practice. But I hope the tips that I've laid out here for you today do help you get a better selling blurb, help you on your publishing journey. And as always, I am here via email or messenger if you want to reach out to me with any marketing problems that you might have or questions. You can always get me at info@fiction-atlas.com. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. Have some good luck making some sales, and I will see you next month. Bye.
Yes, the blurb. Ooh, it's almost a bad word in our community. You're muted.
Of course I am. Just trying to avoid all those echoes, remember?
So I'm going to mute myself real quick, and let's see if it is me. So say something, Katie.
Say something, Katie. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Couldn't help myself there.
No, not the echo's gone. All right, there you go.
All right, good.
Blurbs with Tom Hanks. The blurbs. Nice, I love that. Let's see. Guess what home chore I did for the first time in years for me and for the thing. Okay, great tips.
Always great tips. CL Cannon has always every month spot on with her advice.
Yeah, for sure. That was awesome. And I will tell you, as somebody who frequently emails CL Cannon, she's very good about answering. So don't be afraid. She puts that out there because she wants you to contact her. So, well, don't be ridiculous, but just be respectful, but otherwise, Anyway, we were talking about Overdrive earlier and how much it has enhanced its position, but Amazon is not without its say in this little deal. Katie, we talked about this last month. This was a big deal last month. Actually, it's been a big deal for a couple months now. We've talked about it. And our friends Tom Huffenmeyer, I think is his name. Did I get that right? Hoffenmeyer.
I'm bad with names.
I can pull it right up here. Tom, I really apologize. Nate, not even Tom. It's Nate. Our friend Nate Hoffenfelder had an update. So you want to go over it? Or do you want me to go over it?
Yeah, we could talk about it because, again, Amazon is kind of riding the coattails of what other people are doing. But in this case, they're doing something right. And I believe it was way back in December we started to talk about the fact that Amazon was looking to expand into the libraries, not out of the goodness of their heart, but because a lot of antitrust, and there's the echo again, I can hear it. Dang it. Is anybody else hearing that? It's driving me nuts. Anyways, a lot of the antitrust lawsuits that have been placed against them for, collusion or for playing the market to their favor have kind of pushed them into needing to finally release their ebooks into the library system. So On May 18th, the Digital Public Library of America, the DPLA, signed an agreement with Amazon Publishing, making all of their 10,000 ebooks and audiobooks available to libraries, with the caveat that this is through the DPLA exchange. So for that, it's not Overdrive, it's the Simply E distribution service, which was developed by the New York Public Library. So it's not in all library systems yet, and we mentioned it before. Overdrive services the majority of the libraries. The Simply E platform is kind of limited at this point, but it's a good starting place. That means we're going to start to see the Kindle ebooks showing up now in library access, which for us indies out there, when we hear complaints from readers, I can't buy a book, I can't afford a book, what do we tell them? Go to the library. There's a place where you can check out a book for free, and yes, the author does get paid for it. Now, with this system that they've worked out with the DPLA, they do have certain pay tiers for the way that they're going to be lending out their books. So, and I'm not 100% on how this actually works in the accounting realm, how we'll see it. But the way they have it listed on the news release, it says that there is an unlimited one-time use access with 2-year license. There are bundles of 40 lens available with a maximum of 10 simultaneous lens with no time use limits on the lens. Then there's also bundles of 5 lens available simultaneously with no time limits, and then 26 lens on 1 user time access. So there's going to be different tiers of how the ebooks and audiobooks are going to be released through this library system. How it's going to translate to sales on our end, how we're going to see it in our dashboards, we don't know. They haven't released that information, but it is a positive start, and it was kind of put on by pressure through all the antitrust lawsuits that have been hitting Amazon over the last few years. So they are getting pressure, and they are slowly cracking under that pressure, and I think it's a benefit for us. We're going to see more access, more availability in the marketplace as things continue. So we'll be watching that. And hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about where the Simply E system is available. And if there's any plans for them to, link up with Overdrive at all and be more universally accessible.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to include Overdrive in this fund, but that system that you were laying out is actually very similar to Macmillan's deal with libraries. So I think Amazon just cut as always, as we're discovering. Amazon likes to do a lot of cut and paste. They like to cut things that they like out and paste it into their systems. And I think that's it's almost identical to Macmillan. The only thing Macmillan doesn't offer is the unlimited one, so that's something that they added. But Macmillan offers the 40 lens at no time limit. And I think they have 50 lens actually, not 40. And then the other one, 26, is such a random number because Macmillan made that number up. That was their number. So that is what they initially saddled libraries with. And yes, as Margaret points out, and the one that played chicken with library, yes, we talked about that early on in the year that Macmillan was pulling because libraries wanted more reads they were getting pursued by their consumers, their readers, the library folks that go to the library and check out books to get more opportunity to read. Mm-hmm. Because libraries were putting time limits on them, because there is fines that Macmillan will administer if they go over these lens and things like that, which is just ridiculous. But
what I want to know though is how it plays out on the author end, because we are the authors that are contributing this, and we're the ones who are going to be impacted by these by these deliveries to libraries. When you go through draft to digital and you get into the Overdrive system, you get reports. They show you how much the royalty is for you. You can choose the options when you put it into the library system of how you want it to go out. Authors have not been given anything yet on this deal. Yeah. So we don't know how that's going to play out, what the royalty is going to look like, how the book lending is on our side, which books qualify for what lending packages. So until we on the author side here, it's still kind of let's see what happens. It's, I want to be positive, but I don't know, because I haven't personally seen anything on the author end from Amazon saying, hey, your ebooks are now going to be in libraries and here's how we're going to pay you for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, Katie went from good news to bad news because for it's not over for the Amazon. Yeah, the chat is blowing up with Amazon cracks, and we'll get to those in a second. But you guys want to hold on because Katie unearthed in going down this rabbit hole. Katie unearthed something that's probably a lot of people may not even know, and they may all know it. I don't know if I didn't know it, and I have one of these, so I'm just about to chuck mine, I guess. But you want to tell everybody what the deal is with our sad Kindles from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Katie?
Yeah, if you're like me and you use technology until the wheels fall off, you're about to lose your internet access if you have a Kindle that was made before 2017. All the Kindles that were made before 2017 had 3G internet access availability without the Wi-Fi availability to access the WhisperNet system. Well, 3G is going out, and a lot of the cell phone companies are shutting it down and keeping the 4G and integrating the 5G. So beginning in 2022, we're going to see a lot of those older Kindles lose service completely, which is going to force you guys to have to buy brand new Kindles. And this rollout starts with the carriers in the US, and it will filter across the entire world. It looks like they have Canada 3G support will continue until 2025. US is starting at the end of 2021 with the Sprint 3G network shutting down in December 2022, AT&T February 2022. So you're going to see over the next year or so, a lot of Kindles become paperweights instead of paper whites.
And guess what Amazon just did? Guess what they just did? Can anybody guess? They just raised the price of the new Kindles. So, gee, I wonder if that's a coincidence. Maybe.
They're stealing a page from Apple's playbook. The reason I hate Apple so much is they upgrade so much that they force you into having to get rid of the old stuff because it becomes obsolete. Now Kindle's doing it. And my Kindle that's old as dirt and still works will no longer work when this 3G shutoff happens. Now I got to go buy a new one. But you know what? I'm not going to.
Yeah, you can't even play Tetris on it anymore. I mean, first off, Tetris doesn't exist, but you can't play it on there because.
And yes, Rebecca, I did make that pun.
Nice. So going through the Amazon chatter here, I didn't think Amazon could expand anywhere. God, you proved me wrong. Show me a new vista of despair with library. Acme is on.
Yeah, you know, I love being the bearer of bad news, guys. You know it.
Yeah, we already went through that one. The competition between Musk and Bezos is whose Shadler 80s Bond villain is unreal. That's awesome. With the raw deal on new ebooks. Yep. Yep. Bezos has the bad fashion advantage, though. Yes, and the bad haircut too.
More tech. Bezos and Elon to Mars together to duke it out.
That would be awesome. Like our own Secret Wars, you know.
Yeah.
I still have my Nook Generation 2. Damned plan obsolescence.
Yep. It's the Apple playbook that they're stealing another page from another company. I swear to God, copy paste, just like Joe said.
Use my iPad. It's physical therapy at the moment, but it's still working. I use the app when I have to. Woot! Look at us rebels. Nice pun, Katie. Oh my God, she just made that pun. Gas Amazon making money grabs. No, I'm a Nook girl. All right. Do you have a channel? They did all that for the Nookie. That's pretty good.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Katie, I love you so much, says Rebecca. Add a Nook channel. Nah, that's who has that kind of time, right? Vanessa, that's awesome. All right, so yeah, I mean, you know, your Kindle won't work, so I guess my next story doesn't matter to anybody who has a non-working Kindle because the audiobook marketplace is blowing up. And it's blowing up big time because Bookwire is now in the United States. For people who don't know who Bookwire is a German-based company that created an audiobook system for overseas and European countries, and now they're bringing their expertise to here. And every year they hold the summit called All About Audio. I attended the summit to my chagrin because it was boring as all get out. 9 hours of people talking about pretty much the same thing, which is that audiobooks rule and you need to be on them. If you're not, you're behind. And the interesting thing here was also that podcasts were being talked a lot about, and then using audio to transfer from recording into a podcast setting, recording into a TV show, or serialized. Here we go. Serialized episodes and episodics, and taking those and turning audiobooks into chaptering even more so than it is now. For those who don't know how an audiobook is created, it's created by chaptering, and which is, basically taking each chapter from the book and doing a session, and then it's put all together into one beautiful little, wonderful thing that takes you 10 hours to get through. Which a lot of people are there for. It's the one thing where brevity is not the winner here. The longer you can make an audiobook, the better. People seem to really like those special unabridged big giant books, the War and Peace kind of type of audiobooks that take you 4 days to get through, because then you don't have to change. And of course, audiobooks are very expensive. So for the consumer, even if you've got the little program that we've been crapping on a lot, it still can be pretty pricey. And the idea is that there was a lot of talk in this conference about how can we make audiobooks more affordable for the consumer. And one of the ways was to take the Vella idea and turn it into the audiobook idea, and do chaptering little serials where you do what kind of Disney Plus has done with their Marvel shows, which is kind of episodically show them once a week and get you excited about the next week kind of idea. Podcasts are already experimenting with this and having monster success, according to the people that were on this beautiful conference. So so they are looking at brevity, opportunities. The one thing that I found that was very interesting is that audiobook listeners generate more than 2.4 times the annual revenue of a podcast listener. So podcasts might be making out with sponsorships, and where podcasts are starting to close that gap, though, is subscription bases, and doing premium subscription bases where they go, hey, we'll do a bonus episode for you, or we'll do an extended episode for those who subscribe to our Patreon page. And they say that if you are a publisher or you're publishing your own stuff in audio format, you should be doing that as well. That you should be offering extra. Early access is one of the things that they mentioned, where you get to read this chapter before everybody else does, or this sequel to this book before everybody else does. You get to you'll get to audio listen to those. The other idea was to have little sponsorships at the beginning and offer sponsorships through Patreon, and woohoo! Can you imagine this audiobook being brought to you by Blue Chew? Yes, I can. Wonderful. I hope it's an erotica, because that's perfect. That's a perfect tie-in for Blue Chew. But other than that, it is an audio world. People are too busy to visually be stimulated or take enough of a break to sit and rifle through pieces of paper, apparently. And all these guys were very, very hip and very, very very, very much about, hey, if you're not doing everything audio, you should be. And that's kind of was the gist of this conference. I will say, however, it is very nice to have Bookwire among the opportunities, because I can tell you again, as we've talked about endlessly tonight, the second tiered, Find Away Voices and all of these other companies that we've had opportunities to kind of usurp Audible or ACX. They don't want to play around in that place. They don't want to play in that sandbox. They just want to be their own little thing. Hey, we're a little niche. We're a little boutique thing, and they don't want to play around in that sandbox. So they're not threatening Audible or ACX in any manner. I'm going to tell you right now, Bookwire has got that European sensibility. They're like, oh yeah, bring it. Let's come on. So I'm excited to see what Bookwire is going to do, because they've already talked about how they're going to lower their pricing and how they're going to pay the producer what they deserve on the other end, and not this royalty share crap, and how they're going to take care of the producer. And then in that respect, that will relay onto the consumer. So those are all exciting ideas and so I welcome Bookwire into this fold, and we'll see. I mean, Bookshop said the same thing. They were a European-based idea, and they've kind of wilted a little bit under the power of the Zon. They kneel to the Zon a little bit now, but
yeah, I liked their premise. But then again, it was like having a million online stores, and a million online stores is never going to compete against the one big one that a million people use. There's got to be some heavy hitter that goes against Amazon to actually create that competition, which is why in our original story with the two South Korean companies, I think those two, if they don't kill each other duking it out, could definitely bring competition to Amazon, because they have a huge market. They've already got themselves established, and they're doing kind of the same thing.
And they're keeping the autonomy of the original ideas together, and which is that is something that you don't hear of in mergers. You're not hearing that between Penguin and Simon and Schuster and everybody that's gathering their forces to become one big conglomerate. No, I'm eating you because I'm bigger than you, and you're going to adhere to how we do things, not how you do things. We'll take a little bit of your ideas and sprinkle them in, but it's nice that you have little ideas. But
raise your hand if you liked Create Space, and then look at what Amazon did to the company they owned.
Yeah.
Amazon's publishing platform is nowhere near as good as CreateSpace's used to be. CreateSpace had the customer service down pat. They had their printing down pat, their pricing, their distribution. It was beautiful. You try and get the same thing out of Amazon's branded KDP print side, and it's ridiculous. I order 10 books as a set to get ready to go to a convention. I get 10 individually packed books shipped to my door. What the hell is that? They can't even figure the shipping part out. Come on, guys. Get your act together. And then pasting that do not sell proof copy right across my beautiful cover, when now you created a book I can't even recoup costs on.
Yep.
Whereas back in the CreateSpace days, what did they do? They had proof written on like the back page. Nobody cared about that. You didn't wreck the cover art. You didn't make a non-sellable book. So I don't get it. Amazon had a company that was doing the right thing, and instead of branding that company as their publisher, they had to reinvent the wheel themselves, copy and paste, only they didn't get it quite right. It was a Xerox copy instead of a clean copy.
The overhead was too much for them to bear. They needed to take care of their shareholders. I don't know if you, as somebody who plays the stock market, that's important to people who have a publicly traded company, and they just want to take care of their board of directors and make that stock jump and make news, and that's what they do.
But if a company doesn't take care of the people creating the content or merchandise for that company, they lose those people to companies that will do better and have done better. And yes, it's a trickle right now, but how long does a behemoth like Amazon become an undefeatable monster when there are lots of things coming out? And just like we saw with Naver, and just like we saw with the cacao, they're enveloping other companies and letting those companies run appropriately. Yeah. Eventually they catch up and they become like, what is it? Like the Power Rangers when they put all the little Zords together and became the monster. That's what's going to happen.
They're like Voltron.
Exactly. So eventually, I think that's what's going to happen.
Bookwire, yes, and are they going to compete with my beloved Libro? Libro's another one of those boutiques. I'm sorry, Margaret. They are. They're one of those ones that doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. They just want to be there, give you an alternative. Steal like an artist potential. Right. One of my favorite bookstores does extra episodes on their Patreon. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, I will
My
do
banana
an
and me.
Nice. Well, he did say erotica, JD, so
Yes,
that would work.
Yes, that would
The
work.
question: if someone devours audiobooks, are they still a bookworm? They might be an audiophile, maybe. I don't know. But
Banana cream pie. Oh God.
Margaret says, I know someone who DNFs them like nobody's business, like 10% in, listening at 3% 3 times. That's terrible. I'd say no to that. It's too much about the number rather than the enjoyment. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much of that out there. We were just talking about how that's the concern I have with Vella. That is exactly the concern. It's a cash grab right now, and until and Amazon's not making it clear what the 50% means, and until people are going to try and take advantage of that, as long as Amazon's not making it clear. So anything to make it
we
that
need the what was that movie? Show Me the Money. We need that meme.
Yeah.
Every time Amazon comes out with a new service,
Jerry Maguire.
and then claims 50%. No, show me the money. I want to see the exact numbers.
Anita also hates the banner. The struggles with the spine.
Oh God, I hate the spine. Yeah, absolutely. Voltron. Megazord. Thank you. That's the one. Megazord.
And Jerry Maguire. Yes, we were just talking about that.
So I mean, that's what's happening. You're building all of these companies with their individual, perfect traits. They know what they're doing. They do it well. You envelop them, but you let them autonomously work and throw them as part of your, major corporation. They're going to become something that can take on the behemoth that Amazon is.
Yes, you do need to buy a printing press. And you can hire my father. He worked in printing presses for most of his life. 37 years he was a printer. That's what he did. So,
and yes, Vanessa, Ingram's print is so much better than what you get from Amazon. So much better.
And it's viable printing too, because if you do Ingram, you can go to a bookstore and sell because they can do returns and
exactly. And most bookstores, when you're straight through Amazon, they're competition to all of the other bookstores, and bookstores don't necessarily want to stock their competition.
Yeah, and that was the one thing about Create Space though that needed to be changed, but and whatever. It's
they weren't perfect, granted, but they were a lot better than what we've got right now.
Absolutely.
Amazon went backwards by trying to create their own version of a company they already owned.
Yeah, absolutely. And going forward is wait, that's a damn fine idea I just had. There's one near me. All right. When you do bookstores offer to buy back any unsold copies they don't want to keep. That's a great tip, Vanessa. Thank you.
That is absolutely a wonderful tip.
So we're nearing the end of our show. I did have one more story, and I'll rip through it real quickly, and that is the rise of VOD. As you can see here to your right hand side, probably your left on the screen. Let me remove the Goni now so you can see a little bit more of that. But this is profit from a time period in which they were just beginning to digital downloads. This profit has gone up exponentially. And it's because of these guys on the right-hand side with all of the opportunities that they're looking for content. Right now, the search for content is so... Look at this. This is the chart from VOD and the avenues and the branches. And there's one branch down here that hasn't been added that I would have wanted to add, and that is your books. Your books are the stories that people are looking for. So if you've written a book, I'm telling you right now there is opportunity like there's never been opportunity to get your stuff made into whatever you want it to be made into, a movie, a television show, whatever it is. It's out there, and indies are going to start creating they've created so much content for these sites now that they're making the money, and the studios are behind. And the studios, they want to hold on to that experience in a movie theater, and I don't blame them. That's a great experience, and I'm missing that as much as anybody. And I'm going to be glad to get back to it. But the idea is they didn't embrace, much like the Big Four didn't embrace ebooking. The big studios have not embraced VOD like the indies have, and the indies are taking over. And it's very evident. I mean, the sales for an indie movie online are making profits for people. People are making profits. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to create some independent studios. And those independent studios, yeah, everybody has great ideas, but there is also a clamoring for ideas. And I just did an interview with a gentleman who picked up a book from Robert Pyle, who is a lepidrist. I think I said that right. Butterfly guy. And he wrote this incredible book about his self-journey, and they made it into a narrative feature. I'm telling you right now, I know that Katie has, we have a mutual friend, Virginia Cruz, who's made a book about PTSD. There's movies about that now coming out. This is something that I think you all should be paying attention to and looking at. And I say that kindly. I know that I've been critical of authors in the past who want to talk about making their stuff into movies and creating movies for their stuff. But the idea is that you have to give up some kind of creative control. Now the idea is that you have to have a mutual sort of a compromise. There's a compromising that you can do. And I think this is the time, this is the moment. I don't see this changing, and I think that will be something for the future to look out for. So, that was as quick as I could make it. I think I did a pretty good job there, but the comments are blowing up. And thank you guys so much for being here and being so active and enjoying our show. We really appreciate it. I want to mention, of course, go watch Spilling Ink tomorrow night. Katie's guest is Tim Niederreiter, and so go check that show out. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We've got shows coming up, and our next show, of course, Sunday is This Week in Indies, and we're going to do something similar to what we did last week. And I have a new episode of Words That Kill coming out this weekend. So look for that premiere and enjoy that. It's a really great episode. It's all about serial killers. So you guys are going to enjoy that one. And also, yes, thank you, Regine. Smash that like button. I appreciate it.
JD is caressing the like button right now.
Yeah, he's got banana cream pie on his mind. So
just nicely stroke the like button.
But I also wanted to mention next month in July will be our season finale. We're going to take a break in August and then come back in September and bring you the news just like that. But we figure the news needs some time to catch up, and we need to catch some rays and have some fun as well. So we're going to take a little break in August. So there will not be a late night news in August, but July show is going to be very special for all of you. All of you guys out there are going to be involved in July show because we're going to do an AMA. We decided, unless the news blows up like it did this week. I mean, if there's news, we'll talk about it. But if you guys have things you haven't heard us talk about in the news that you want us to talk about, you can come and give it to us and we'll talk about it. So we'll be up on it. I'm sure we'll know a little bit about it. If not, we'll get on it pretty quickly. But ask us anything. So come and do that. That'll be July 9th. That'll be our next show. Katie and I will be prepared for your crazy, weird questions and your drunk mannerisms as usual. So, because you know why, Katie?
Because it's always time to go indie now.
That's right. We'll see you guys in July.